Welcome back to Kevin Pollak's Chat Show. I am Chat Show. How are you? Happy New Year. This is, we're recording on January 8th, when I think this is the official last day I have to say Happy New Year. I think, was it Larry David? Was it Larry David on the show who he was trying to figure out what is the last day in January where you're obligated? Maybe it was the 9th. I feel like it was probably the 9th of January. I hope you're fully recovered from the holidays. You're back at work. You're loving life. You feel the new year in the sense. Were you peeing out your ass like I was the first couple of days of the new year in the process of losing 7 pounds? Again, I can't suggest this diet highly enough, and I have to figure out a way. If there's any chemists out there, bioengineers, I need you to help me figure out and lawyers, a legal way to market a little non-harmful stomach flu. Non-harmful and, it's not lethal. But the ads would be, it's time to stay in bed, call off work for 3 days, binge watch your favorite shows, including The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, of course, and lose 7 pounds. No exercise. And who doesn't want to tush whiz for 3 days? I ask you. But Happy New Year to you. Write to us at kpcsfanmail@gmail.com. I would love to read your emails. And feel free to write in questions for our guests. Like today, we got a couple for my guests from Twitter. I'm just at Kevin Pollak there. No C in Pollak. For those of you still trying to figure that out. Write to us at kpcsfanmail@gmail.com. And Sammy and Jamie not here today. I guess we're getting used to that. And Marvelous Mrs. Maisel Season 2 dropped on Amazon Prime. Write to me. Let me know what you think of Season 2. So far, the resounding vote is better than Season 1. So as much as I tried to get people to lower their expectations, that's been fucked. If you lower your expectations, you'll be nothing but thrilled. Write to us and tell us about it. And we're excited to go back to work in a couple of months. Jesus, a couple of months. It's back to work. I've only interviewed one person from the show, Tony Shalhoub, and today is number 2. I'm very excited. When I first met this, no longer young man,
It's true.
I was surprised by the fact that I was playing his father and he was older than me. I wasn't sure how that math worked out, but I guess you have to go back to what was it? The Lauren Green show, I think.
I have the Webster disease. So.
Yeah, he does. He does. So let's talk about it. Mike Zegen, hi, buddy.
Hello.
You have, let's get to it. Surprising to everyone, but it's all over the internet and available as information. You do have a big birthday coming up in less than a month.
I do. Yes, I'm a Pisces, February 20th.
Okay.
So if you have anything to send me.
Yeah.
Where
should they send it? You want to give an address?
My address is, no.
Yeah. Send it here at Earwolf. By the way, thanks again to all the folks here at Earwolf, including Sam, the engineer of the stars. Do you have any plans whatsoever? I mean, people put a lot of pressure on the 40th, but...
I know, but...
well, you still look 30.
Thank you.
Sure.
No, I don't, because I'm going to be working, so I don't know. I'm doing a movie, so...
I promise you there's nothing best.
Yeah.
Don't you agree?
No.
Really? Have you worked on a birthday before?
I have, and it was like, You
get a cake...
No.
Celebrates at lunch.
I was a guest star on The Good Wife, and I didn't tell anybody about it. And
now you're a big lead in a movie that we can't talk about, I'm sure.
No, you could talk.
Okay. Well,
it's not Star Wars or anything. I'm doing a movie with Drew Barrymore.
That's right.
Did I tell you about that? I told you about that.
Keep talking. I want to hear more about it. Jamie Babbitt directed a couple episodes of Mazel.
Right. She's directing, and we haven't really started yet, but I'm going back for some rehearsals, and it's fun, and Drew Barrymore is just so lovely, so I'm really excited to work with her.
A super delight.
Yeah.
What do you and her characters have in common?
Not much, I guess. She plays a famous movie star and the movie star stand-in. So she's doing double duty.
Oh, great.
Yeah, and then I play a character she's having an online relationship with, the movie star is, and basically the stand-in takes over her life. And
An All About Eve situation?
Yeah, kind of, yeah.
Sure.
So, yes, and there's a little, craziness and whatever.
There's some hijinks.
Yes.
It's a comedy.
It is a comedy, I hope.
Well, here's what I'm saying. So you're going to be starring in this movie with her.
She's starring in the movie.
I understand.
I'm playing...
You're one of the leads.
Yeah,
Are
I
you
guess
comfortable
so.
with that moniker? One of the leads?
Yeah, sure. I'm one of the leads, yes.
So I'll just say, as one of the leads of a motion picture.
Because you've done it many times.
Star Wars or not. Yeah, I've been, that's right. There's a little facetiousness in the tone, but yes. When you celebrate a birthday on the set of a movie, as opposed to guest star and nobody knows on the television show.
Well, what am I going to do? Am I going to come in and be like, hey, everybody, it's my birthday?
They'll find out.
Yeah. No, nobody found out on The Good Wife. I don't even know if they knew my name, so.
Right. Again, you're a guest star in The Good Wife. You're one of the leads in a motion picture.
Right.
There's a chasm between those two things.
And actually, Drew's birthday is 2 days after mine, so maybe we'll have a double party or something like that.
I think it'll be talked about. Does Drew yet know that you're...
Yes.
A couple days apart?
Yes,
okay.
we talked about this because we're both Pisces. And
and what has that meant to you all these years to be a Pisces?
Just looking at what a Pisces, is made of.
I don't know. Tell me.
Yeah, something like they're very creative, sensitive, emotional. That's really all I know.
Isn't
Dreamers,
that everyone in show business?
Yes, that's why it's surprising to me that there aren't more Pisces in show business. What are you?
I'm a Scorpio.
Yeah, and do you find that you are a typical Scorpio?
It's all on a need to care basis for me. To be honest, I early on I was told it was the sex sign.
I've heard that. Yes.
Yeah, which I think just means I'm horny like every other man.
Right.
So I don't know how that also is different.
I think Pisces are also very sensual.
Yeah. So, I mean, I remember a time in my youth when I would read the daily horoscope thinking this is going to predict how my day is going to go.
Yeah. And sometimes they're right on.
Yeah.
And then other times not so much. And sometimes you read it and you're like, no, that's not like even start of the day, you're like, that's not me.
That's not going to happen. Yeah.
But I do read Susan Miller horoscopes. Do you have that app, Astrology Zone?
I do not.
It's good. Yeah, she gives a monthly horoscope and then she does daily. But the monthly, sometimes she's dead on. Like she'll say, on this day, this is going to happen. And honestly, it's happened. I couldn't give you a specific example, but
like on this day, you'll
get an invitation to a party or something like that. And it might be the next day or, but she's right around the ballpark area. So,
right.
So I do read that. And my friend's an astrologer. And she does birth charts and stuff like that.
Professional.
Yes, professional. Yeah. I think she's getting her own TV show too for like on Bravo.
Fantastic.
Yeah, but she does these birth chart she has like a lot of people there and people say, here's my birthday, and she like breaks it down for you. And it's really interesting. I don't really know how she does it, and I don't really understand it, but it's kind of interesting.
It's a science.
Yes.
Sure.
It is kind of a science, yeah.
Yeah. It's a science of information. My favorite kind. All right. So you're in Los Angeles for what they call award season. And for a little perspective, I do a little bit of research for everyone.
Oh, God.
That's a perfect reaction. But it's forced me into a little perspective thought. And the world has only known what a marvelous Maisel is for less than 14 months. I mean, the pilot ran for like a year or whatever, or so it seemed.
Yeah.
But in terms of breaking through the noise and into the zeitgeist, it happened the end of November 2017.
Okay.
That's when the first season dropped.
Right.
So it really hadn't dawned on me, oh shit, it's only been like 13 months.
It seems like it's been about 3 years now.
I know.
Yeah.
Because you've been working on it for that long.
Yeah.
But for just a little over a year, people have been either apologizing. This is my favorite thing. I'm so sorry I haven't seen the show yet. But everyone tells me it's amazing. That.
Yeah.
It's either that or they start gushing and won't shut up about the show. But it's happened, therefore, to me, it seems like in a very short period of time, you know?
Yeah,
And you've been at this a while.
I have.
Yeah. So let's just first start, and then we'll go back a little bit to the interesting ways that it's sort of changed your life in the last 13 months, other than maybe an example would be you suddenly find yourself as an article in the New York Times.
Yes,
with
right.
A photo,
Yeah.
Pictorial of your apartment.
Which I was hesitant to do because I felt like it was an invasion of privacy a little bit.
Oh, no, it is.
But at the same time, I do think I'd like to move. So I figured I might as well document what, my apartment is now for future reference.
Also for sales opportunities.
Sales opportunities. Well, I'm not. It's not my apartment.
You're
I
a
don't own
renter.
it. Yeah, I'm a renter.
No better time than to sell when you're just renting. Yeah.
But yeah, I did, think twice about that. But it did come out fine, and it enforced me to clean my apartment.
Yep.
It was pretty spotless too.
Also, as I was looking at it, I thought, well, he'll be able to look back on this in 10 years and not only reflect on, I remember that apartment and this is what it meant to me, but also you'll have a different perspective of whether it was a good idea or a bad idea.
I don't think I'll have any regrets.
No, of course not.
It's not like they told everybody where I lived or anything like that.
Yeah, no, we do that on the website.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I thought it came out well.
Absolutely, it did. And so, what other aspects of the last 13 months have maybe
my life.
surprised you in elements of life change?
Well, I guess, I didn't know just how popular this show was going to be. I think we all knew it was something special, but I don't know if we knew just how much people were going to love
I don't
the
think
show.
any one of us thought it was possible.
Yeah.
That everyone would feel this way.
I remember my agent had said, he's like, do you think, we were still filming the first season, and he was like, do you think this is going to be like an awards show kind of thing? You're going to be like appearing at the awards every year? And I was like, I hope so, but in the back of my mind, it's like, that's, it's hard because there's so many shows out there. There's so many shows. So for, something to kind of rise to the top, it's a battle, but this just happened to just float right up there,
It was surreal.
Yeah.
Because we're all lost in this world of conversations that start like this. Have you seen fill in the blank?
Right.
And end with, no, I can't wait to see it.
Yeah.
I don't, I've heard good things.
Mm-hmm.
And then you'll see billboards for shows. Season 3 premiere, and you're like, what the fuck is that? Mm-hmm. That has a third season.
Yeah.
I've never even heard of the show.
That's true. I was reading about shows that were canceled, and it's like, it just, it's not going to film its 4th season. I was like, I've never even heard of this show.
Yeah.
I don't even know what this is.
Right. So just to not be one of those.
Yes.
Let alone be one of the ones they're talking about.
And also it was Amazon, which, is obviously a huge company, but in terms of TV and the streaming shows that they have, there was really only Transparent and Man in the High Castle. I don't really...
And Bosch, I think, is its fourth season, certainly.
And Goliath, right. But you don't, you're not like, hey man, did you see Goliath last night? It's not...
Well, I would tell you, and I've told you this, they have another show called Patriot that...
Right, you love Patriot, right.
Is arguably the best hour of drama in the universe.
Yes.
And almost no one is talking about that show.
Right.
So there's an example of people who rise to the level of creativity and execution to a level of genius, in my opinion, that should be celebrated on a daily basis. And they couldn't break through the noise. So then it does feel a bit surreal when you do.
Yeah.
So let's go through the origin story, which I always like. You grew up as a kid in New Jersey.
Yes,
right?
I'm from New Jersey. My parents are from the Bronx.
Mom's a teacher, dad's a lawyer.
Yeah, well, my mom was a teacher, and then she had kids, and became.
What was she teaching before the kids ruined everything?
She was teaching elementary school.
Okay, cool.
And now she teaches nursery school. But she, so my dad's a lawyer. He's been commuting from New Jersey to New York City for the last, 40-something years, which boggles my mind because he takes the bus every morning still.
That's amazing.
Which would make me put a hole in my head.
But think about that. That's really amazing.
Yeah, but he does like the crossword puzzle, so I guess
No, he's very content, clearly. The man has options. He's doing this on purpose.
Yeah.
It's kind of glorious.
Yeah, well, to be honest, if you take the shuttle bus in the morning, like before a certain time, it's only like a half hour. So it's not a big deal.
It's astonishing.
But the problem is, and I've done it before because I've interned in the city while living at home or whatever during college, and you sit on that bus and you just cross your fingers and hope that nobody sits next to you, you know?
Sure, of course.
Like there were times when I would like put on headphones and just kind of sing to myself while somebody's coming by and they're like, oh, I don't want to sit next to that guy because he's singing.
Right. Singing
so
horribly.
you do everything you could possibly do to not have somebody sit next to you. And of course, there are those times when like, you're the only person that somebody sits next. Like it's everybody has their own 2 seats except for you. And, and you're like, oh God, this is why I hate taking the bus.
I'm going to suggest a surgical mask and a box of cleaners. That is the best way to be left alone in your solo seat. Do a lot of coughing. Yeah.
But yeah, so he doesn't mind it.
So 2 brothers.
Yes.
Both
real estate developers.
Right. But as kids, what was that like? 3 boys. Were you troublemakers?
No, not really. We were good kids. I was the only actor.
From an early age.
Yeah, from an early age. I remember when I was 5 years old wanting to be an actor. Because I guess
I felt the same way, but I'm curious.
Yeah, well, there was a kid in my elementary school who was in a ton of commercials, and I mean every commercial, like toy commercials, cereal commercial, so I was insanely jealous, obviously, and so my mom talked to his mom about getting an agent, and because I begged her, I was like, I want to do that. I remember there was also a kid on TV who was singing "You Are My Sunshine," and I was like, I want to do that,
Right.
And
you understand though, because you said I was jealous, of course.
Yeah.
It's not, of course. It's not normal at all to see
Is that right?
see a schoolmate in a TV commercial, and because did you talk to any of your other fellow students who felt the same way? Hey, look at this guy.
I don't remember.
I think we're unusual. I don't think it's the norm.
No, you're right, because my niece is 5 and I don't think she has any desire to do it. She was taking an acting class an acting class for 5-year-olds, and I was asking like, how was it? And they were doing some Wizard of Oz show in front of parents, and she was like, I was so nervous. And I was like, yeah, it never goes away. And
there's good news to a 5-year-old.
Yeah.
Do you want to feel like with an upset stomach for the rest of your life? You should be an actress.
True. I mean, that is what it is,
Yeah. Unless you,
I don't think she has any desire to do it. Even though she sees me, she loves Maisel or what they've shown her. The few bits and pieces that they've shown her, she loves it.
Right. Big fan of mine.
Yeah, she told me to say hi. Actually,
I'm sure she did.
But
I can't fathom a 5-year-old watching the show. I really can't.
Yeah, but. I think it had more to do with the fact that this kid was playing with toys.
Sure.
And I think he was in a He-Man commercial, and I think that had something to do with it. And I just like.
Did you see him on TV from your home?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
So that's a startling moment.
Yeah.
The kid's in my class.
Yeah. He wasn't in my class. I think he was a year below me, but his brother was in my class, and his brother also had done it from an early age, but then dropped out, wasn't into it.
Yeah.
But this kid, so the kid who was doing it, he also eventually dropped out, but then apparently he paid for med school, like with all the money he made from commercials. So that was another thing. And, I didn't know what money was really, but like you hear, oh, you make a lot of money. And I think everybody wants to make money regardless of how old you are.
Or understanding what that means.
Yeah. I mean, I just like performing. I really did. I remember in kindergarten I was a gingerbread boy and
getting some attention.
Yeah, getting attention. Even though like at that point I wasn't even the middle child yet. So I just loved it. I don't know what it is. I've always loved it. I've always loved performing. I've always loved getting on stage and having people laugh at, things that come out of my mouth. And
do you remember getting a laugh early on?
Yes. I did Annie when I was like 9, and I played Rooster, who's like the villain of Annie. Do you remember Annie?
So you were really sort of doing some early research.
Yeah, yeah, right. Although
I don't
he was a bad
remember
dude.
any, but anyways,
Yeah.
Rooster is a kind of a villain.
Yeah, he's the villain. He's basically the villain. He's Miss Hannigan's brother, and
Okay.
together they plot to screw over Annie. I don't remember what happens, but I remember coming out there, and I was this little guy because I didn't have a growth spurt till college. I was tiny for the most of my life, the majority of my life. I was
In
tiny.
high school, you graduated at the height of...
I was probably about like 5'2" when I graduated high school.
That's crazy.
Yeah, maybe 5'3". I don't
10, 5'9".
No, I'm like 5'9" now on a good day.
That's a big spurt in college.
It was huge. It was huge. And
Like painful?
yeah, it was painful. Yeah, I mean, in high school, like my knees were hurting, my back
Because I'm
was
still
hurting.
waiting, so I don't really know what it feels like to have this growth spurt.
I did go to a growth doctor who, when I was in 9th grade, my mom took me to a doctor finally because it was like, what's up with this?
I don't want to jockey as a son.
Maybe she did. I don't know. But she took me to this doctor, and I remember they took x-rays of my hands, and it's like they see how much space you have between the bones in your hand, kind of like a puppy. You know, if you see a puppy and it has big hands, big paws, you know that it's going to be a big dog. So that's kind of, so they were like, he's going to be fine.
He's got big paws.
Yeah, he's got big paws. He's going to be fine. So yeah, but I was a late bloomer. Let's just put it that way. I was a late bloomer.
It happens.
And what were we talking about?
This is my favorite part of the show. We're just having a conversation. No, just talking about playing the villain in Annie.
Oh, yeah. So I was tiny.
You were tiny.
And they paired me up with this girl who was way taller than me. And she was supposed to be my girlfriend.
Right.
And we had this song together. I just remember coming out with this like tall girl.
Getting laughs already.
And getting laughs already. And my grandfather was like in the second row, and I just saw this like big smile on his face. And you know, he's a Holocaust survivor. And it's like, you know.
And you made him smile.
Yeah, I made him smile. So that
This is
felt
not a
really
normally
good.
happy person, your grandfather?
Well, no, he I guess not. No, he wasn't
He had
really.
every right to.
No, he liked me, and he liked seeing me perform. He loved that.
Yeah, I'll bet.
But but I just remember his face, his beaming face. I'll never forget that.
You're getting laughs.
Yeah. And I loved it. I loved it.
You were hooked.
I was totally hooked. Yeah.
And you decided pretty early on, I'm going to study theater in college?
Yeah. Oh, there was no other option.
Yeah, me too.
I'm not good at anything
Not theater,
else.
but no other option.
Yes. There's nothing else I've ever been really good at. So that was it. You know, in high school and middle school, I always did. I didn't tell you this. So I wrote my 5th grade play.
Keep talking. As a challenge, or did you tell anyone?
No, it was an assignment. We had to do some sort of project with the Bill of Rights, and I remember the teacher was like, "You can draw a picture. You can do this, do that. You could write a play," and it just like clicked. It was like, "Oh, I'm going to write a play," and so I wrote a play about aliens coming down to Earth.
Sure.
And learning about the Bill of Rights. They were like pilgrims from another country, another planet rather, and coming down and meeting these kids, and the kids teach them about the Bill of Rights. And I mean, it's genius, you know.
Clearly, it's astonishing to me.
They were called Ailgrims instead of pilgrims.
Okay.
And they were on the I think the Mayflower or something ship, or I don't remember. But I wrote it, and I remember my dad typed it up for me, and he was like, "This is good."
Wow.
Yeah. And then so I handed it in, and the teacher, like a week later, I get back the script and she gives me an A+, and she's like, and there was a note saying, "We're going to do this play. Maybe you can direct, ? And I was like, I'm 10 years old, and I'm like, sure.
How
sure.
fantastic.
Yeah. And then, so we ended up doing the play. I did not direct. In fact, I had to audition for it. And keep in mind, I named all these characters after kids in my class.
Sure.
So
one of them was Mike?
Oh, of course. Of course, Mike had the most lines too. And I had to audition for it. And I remember auditioning. I remember like the cast list was coming out, like my fingers are crossed. I'm like, please let me be Mike. Please let me be Mike. And I got it, obviously. But there were kids in my class who I wrote a character named Dave, and then all of a sudden Ethan got cast as Dave, and I was like, no, Dave is Dave. Like Ethan can't do Dave justice.
That's why she asked you if you wanted to direct.
Yeah, but I wanted to direct, and then they set up a writer's room because
what?
Yeah, because they had to expand it. They had to create more characters for the rest of the kids. I only had it was like a 10 character play. I didn't.
And how many pages was the play?
It was probably about about, at the time, it was probably like 20 pages.
Right.
But they expanded it to be like,
I
40
appreciate
pages.
why they wanted to expand
I
it.
appreciate it, but the writer's room was hectic. And people, I remember...
I picture other 10-year-old kids smoking cigarettes and rolling up their sleeves.
Seriously.
We've got a deadline.
I mean, we did. And I remember like people were throwing out ideas and I was like, no. It, like they were just ruining it. And I wasn't in charge. Like they took the power away from the playwright, because that's usually, I guess, how it is sometimes. And so the whole thing was a learning experience. And when it was, the final product was not my play, it was not
And you're still
mine.
upset about it.
I'm a little upset. And then, well, so this made me the most upset. So we did the show. We did it in front of a big audience. And it was like, all the kids from the school, all the parents, everybody was there. And so in the middle of the play, this kid forgets a line.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. And there's like a long pause. There's like, I mean, I don't, it's felt like 20 minutes to me. It might have been like 30 seconds, but who knows?
It's your first experience of someone going up.
Yeah. Somebody
stage.
forgot a line. I mean, I don't know if it was my first experience, but like somebody forgot a line. There was just dead air.
Mm-hmm.
And so like I think I actually like jumped in and like saved it. I'm just going to go with that. That's how I remember it.
It's your story.
I saved the play.
Yeah.
And then after school, that kid comes up to me and he pushes me down and he said, I didn't want to be in your stupid play anyway. And I was like, I didn't write it. My mom wrote it.
What?
Which is not true. And anybody who was in that play today and is listening to this, that was not the truth. I was caught off guard and I felt embarrassed that it was a failure. And so I blamed my mom and it's not true. She did
wait
not
a
write
second.
it. Not like my mom would have any, idea what to do or about pilgrims or aliens or, Bill of Rights for that matter.
You made a quick leap from... This kid went up on his line. I filled the hole. Afterwards, he pushed me down.
Yeah.
And now you're calling the play a failure. When did it become a failure?
When the kid forgot a line.
That's it?
Yeah.
The whole
I think
thing
so.
blew up?
Well, it wasn't my play. There were jokes that didn't land and that that were not my jokes. I remember there was one joke that the teacher was like, Mike, I know what you meant to do with this line, but we're going to have to cut it because it's not working. I was like, I didn't write that line. I had no idea what that line was. I never understood that line.
10 years old.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I wish I'd known this prior because it does explain a lot of the stress that you live with on a daily basis. Because that is unfair for a 10-year-old to go through.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
I never wrote another play again.
Yeah, I was going to ask. That pretty much broke you, right? In your interest of being in a writer's room?
Yeah.
Okay, so in college, when you're studying actual playwrights, what's the evolution like there?
I never really broke into the theater scene at my college. I went to Skidmore College in upstate New York, which is a great school, and it's a really fun school. It's a small liberal arts, college. And I don't know. Yeah, I just, maybe I wasn't good enough. I don't know. Maybe I wasn't ready or something, but...
Did you have this burning desire?
Yeah. I just wanted to act, And so I wasn't really getting cast in much. And so I decided... And I had auditioned for the improv group in school, which was big. It was like, Skidmore, their comedy scene is huge. I don't know if you've heard about it, but every year they do a college comedy festival.
This wouldn't be Hotties Galore.
No.
The S in Hotties is a dollar sign?
That was my group after college. That was in New York. It was called the Sketchies. But I'm getting to that. I haven't gotten there yet.
Sorry, didn't mean to jump ahead.
Yeah, don't jump ahead. There was an improv group, and the improv group, they were like celebrities on campus,
Sure.
And every year there was this college comedy festival, and all these groups from all these other colleges would come and perform, and it was this insane weekend. It was so much fun just going to see these groups perform. It was like so much fun, and a lot of the comedians and the actors who are in these groups are now doing fabulously well.
Like?
Donald Glover was one of them from NYU, and TJ Miller from GW, and people who write for SNL, and so it's really something astonishing. And yeah, so
sketch and improv?
Yeah, sketch and improv. And everybody has like 20 minutes. But so during the course of the year, this improv group. They were called the Ad Libs, and they were hilarious. And everybody would go see them perform. You know, they would have a big show, and everybody in school would come see, and people would be standing in the aisles. You know, in a 400-seat theater.
Holy crap! Even with that horrible name.
But yeah, so that was that really, like, comedy was big. That was like sports for Skidmore. It was like sports were not big, but comedy was. And is. I think now there's like 4 groups there. But
did you have a comedy influence and interest going into that?
Yeah, always. You know, I always loved SNL. My dad kind of raised me on Bill Murray movies and SNL. My dad's always loved SNL. So, like, you know, he would tape it for me because I was like too young to stay up. And then we'd watch it. And those were like the Adam Sandler years, and, you know, Phil Hartman and David Spade and Dana Carvey and Mike Myers. And, you know, looking back, you're like, oh, those were the days. But when it was going on, you're like, yeah, this is all right, you know?
Yeah, of course.
I think that's always the case with SNL. But yeah, so I always had a big fondness for sketch comedy. And so, you know, I auditioned for the Ad Libs, and I didn't get in. And I was like, well, screw it. I'm going to start my own group. And I didn't realize what kind of an undertaking it was.
Had you studied at that point, improv in particular?
No,
or
never.
sketch?
No, I mean, it was just, we
You'd
really
seen enough, and you
we had seen a lot. Oh, The State was big for me.
Many of which have been on this show.
Oh yeah. On MTV, The State. That was when I was in middle school and high school. Like, I loved that show, and all those guys are doing fabulously well. But yeah, so
you started your own group.
I started my own group. It was me and a few guys who lived in my dorm, and we had a video camera. And we just, I mean, it was kind of like Jackass, you know, we would just film these things, we would just make them up on the fly, and then we edited it all together. We're using 2 VCRs.
Sure.
And
I remember those.
I remember we put it out on TV3, which was the TV station on Skidmore's campus. And we put out this episode, and it was like an hour long, you know, and it was just,
that's the death of comedy.
Exactly. And some sketches went way too long, and they were like, you know, we didn't know anything.
Right.
But gradually we learned how to write. We learned how to edit. We learned, you know, we actually used editing machines like the Avid kind of, not the digital. This was before digital because I'm old. But yeah, so we learned on the fly, and then little by little, we became just as big as the Ad Libs, if not bigger.
Seriously?
Yeah. By my senior year, or by my junior year, we were just as big.
And that's which?
The Sketchies. We were called the Sketchies, yeah. And they're
so
still there
today.
today.
No one could come up with a good name.
Well, at the time, sketchy was kind of a new word. It was like, oh, he's sketchy. Oh, she's sketchy. You know?
Okay.
That was kind of a new word back then. So we thought we were geniuses. But yeah, you know, they're still there today, which is crazy. And I went to a reunion, like a 15-year reunion a few years ago. And it's nuts. It was like, this thing that I started is still popular to this day.
You mean the name of the improv sketch group continued on and just kept recasting new?
Yeah. Well, we decided, you know, it started out with like 6 guys, and we decided that we were going to open it up. We were going to have auditions every year. Originally, it was just going to be us, and we were going to take it, you know, we were going to be famous. We were going to take it outside of school and, you know, whatever. But we decided to, you know, create some sort of legacy, and hopefully it lasted, and luckily it has.
Is it possible that to this day you're the most famous sketchy?
The most famous sketchy? Possibly. I don't.
Really?
Actually, a few of them have.
Who's in the running?
You know, I don't know off the top of my head. There's this guy, Chris Fleming, who's a comedian who's really funny, who I've seen some YouTube stuff on. And I feel like there's somebody else also who is in it who's doing well.
Well, I didn't mean to put you on the spot.
Yeah,
I was making an assumption.
Yeah.
That unless you cough up a big name.
Jackie Mason was actually a sketch.
That is surprising. And by this time, you're also starting to audition for anything outside of college?
Well, during my junior year going into senior year of college, I interned for a casting director in New York, and I just learned a lot about the business. How did that come about, by the way? Is that just you hustling? Yeah, I had applied for a job for a film production company in New York, like a small little, but they had done some movie, like Prince of Tides or something. They had produced something legit.
Movie, actually.
Yes, something legit. And so I had applied. I saw something on a job listing on playbill.com. I was checking, and so I applied for it. I got it. It was an internship. I didn't get paid. And it was basically just reading scripts and writing coverage, which sounds amazing, but the amount of garbage scripts that you get and have to write coverage on them, and it was so boring. It was
and
like,
you're not allowed to write, "This is crap, don't bother."
No, you have to. And I told them, I was like, nobody's going to make this movie. Do I really have to you have to write a summary.
Intern, you need to do the work.
Yeah, you have to write a summary of it.
Yep.
And like some of these scripts went all over the place. So you're like, and then this happens, and then that happens, and then this. And then you have to give your opinion, and so I just hated it. I was like, you think that this is, I'm in the movie business. This is, great. This is exactly what I want to do, but it was terrible. And there was this guy there who was just working out of their office. I guess they let him work out of there, and he was an assistant for this big casting director. And he was about to start casting this movie and about to switch offices. And he's like, yo, if you want to learn how to be an actor, you should come with me, and you'll learn what the casting process is like, and you'll learn what casting directors like and what they don't like, and he was right. So I just ditched the company. I don't even think I told him. I was just like, yeah, I'm out of here, and
I'm gonna go get some cigarettes. Yeah, never came back.
Yeah, and then I just followed him to the next place, and we worked on the movie Spy Game with Brad Pitt and Robert Redford, and I was just I was an intern, but I got to work the camera in these auditions. I was that guy, and I learned a lot.
Of course,
I learned a lot. I learned, I learned what they like, what they don't like. I basically be prepared. Like, they don't like when you come in and you're not prepared. And I saw people cry. I saw, that I've never seen this since. I thought this is how it is.
Yeah.
But the casting director did make some people cry sometimes when she was like, what do you mean you didn't read the script? And they're like, well, I have a baby, and I know, and I've been upstate and I don't have time. And it's like, then the waterworks. Yeah. But I learned a lot from that. So during that period of time, I was reaching out to various agents and, little agents, like people who are not as like, not CAA, let's just say. It was,
AAC.
Right. So they were sending me out on little things, and also I was sending out headshots and resumes to like Backstage. Do they have Backstage out here? I'm sure. It's a magazine. It's
theater.
Yeah, theater, but even just like short films or student films, they would have casting calls. So I would send out headshots and resumes to those, and I was doing short films and then I ran into a guy at a party in New Jersey who I went to high school with, and he was working at a talent manager's place, but it was a little kids talent manager company, and so he was like, "Do you want an audition?" And I said, "Yeah." So he was sending me out on commercials, and it was like during the strike. There was a SAG strike, so I was a scab essentially, but I never got a job. So it all worked out.
You didn't have to cross any
exactly
lines.
But I didn't know any better. I didn't know, now obviously I wouldn't, but back then I was desperate.
Sure.
So just, so I started auditioning my junior year going into senior year, that summer. That's when I started auditioning.
Of college?
Of college, yes.
Yeah. And you graduated college
and then I just hit the ground running. I came back, I still had this guy with the kids management company who was sending me out.
You moved to New York or just back home?
I was at home for like 2 weeks, and then I basically left because, I think my mom was getting on my nerves a little bit. Basically what happened was my friend was living in Harlem, and his roommate was left for the summer, so I took over his place, and I never went back, and I just hit the ground running. I sent out headshots and resumes, hundreds of them, and do
you remember any moments from early auditions that left a sort of lasting impression?
I remember,
good or bad?
Yeah, I was going on a lot of commercial auditions, and I remember one of them, all these guys were coming out and they were like, buckling up their pants. And I was like, what is going on in there? And they would come out and, and then I go in and they're like, yeah, so just take off your pants. And I was like, what? No.
Yeah, it's for a t-shirt, by the way. commercials were for shirts.
Yeah, I think it was for. I think it was for like a laundry detergent commercial or something like that. And they're like, yeah, just take off your pants. I was like, no, I don't want to. And they were like, it was one of those situations where they're like, there's a line of people outside who would kill to be in your position, and I just
to take off their pants.
Yeah, and I did it, but I was just like, Jesus Christ.
So you took off your pants.
Yeah.
And did you find out what the reason was?
I mean, I don't remember. No, I feel like there had to have been a reason, but I don't think it was that important that, they need to see your legs or something. But
right. Yeah, those early auditions, but you had already learned to prepare. And did you take that to heart? And did you work harder than most?
Yeah, I did. I think, I was going on mostly commercials. But I don't know. It was always kind of like in the back of my head, like what you should do, what you shouldn't do. I don't think I was really thinking too heavily about it. But
what are the early non-commercial auditions?
Well, so I used to do a character on Letterman, and that was through this little kids management company. They're called Shirley Grant, and they're great. In case anybody's interested, they're in New Jersey.
I YouTubed the thing on Letterman.
Yeah, but it's not there. It's
another guy.
Yeah, but yes.
So what happened?
Well, so I played Dwight the Troubled Teen.
Well, you weren't the original Dwight.
No,
the
I was
teen.
not. But hey, let's be honest.
No,
Come on,
no.
there's only one Dwight the Troubled Teen. That's me.
What was the transition? Because there were.
Well, so they originally, I think it was an old character on the original Letterman show.
Yes.
On Late Show.
Yes.
Or late night.
That's what's on
late
YouTube.
Show. Late night?
The
late
original
night.
Letterman when he followed Carson.
Well, yes. So there was that, and then
when he moved to CBS.
When he moved to CBS, he decided to bring on a new guy, and the new guy was, I think he worked there. He was maybe a cue card guy or something.
Was the joke also like the first one I saw, this guy looks too old to be a troubled teen? Or was that just the first guy?
That was the first guy, okay. I think. Yeah, okay. I think they thought I was a teen.
And how old were you when you auditioned to play Dwight the Troubled Teen?
I was 23.
Okay, but like now, you look much younger.
Thank you.
Sure.
But yeah, I looked very young. And so it was like this casting call, and there were all these guys that there were like 50 guys there at the Letterman studio. I remember it was at night.
Was Sam Levine there? Was he one of the?
I didn't see. Yeah, I think he was already pretty much established.
Oh,
at that
okay.
point. I think he had done Freaks and Geeks. Yeah.
Another New Jersey boy made good.
Yeah. He went to Hebrew school with my boy who's waiting right
here. Is that
here.
right?
Yeah.
Fort Lee? Is that
no? Tenafly, Teaneck, Tenafly. Yeah, Tenafly. So there were all these people, and they kind of whittled it down. It was like they would make cuts, It was like a football team or something. And it came down to 4 of us, and we all auditioned in front of all the writers. And
Letterman himself?
No,
you don't see him until you. And is there a rehearsal when you eventually get the job?
Yeah, there was one rehearsal. You come in. First of all, it was so I got the job, and then it was it was supposed to be the next day, and I think I got cut the next day. But then they brought me back the next day, and then you go on stage and you rehearse it, and then it goes back to Letterman, and he could change it.
Sure.
He could change it, and then you have to read on the fly, You have to read the cue cards on the fly. And so basically, it's a scene. It's towards the end of the show. It's like a little skit with me and Alan Coulter, the announcer, and he played my stepfather or something, and he would say, Dwight, you didn't clean your room today. And I'll be like, screw you, old man, I hate you. I hate you, I hate all of you. That was my catchphrase. And I did it every time. I hate you, I hate all of you. But then it became like more elaborate. It was like, then sometimes there was some, because I did it like a lot. I did it like every week I was doing it. Letterman loved it. I don't know why, but he loved it. And so I'd come back every week, and I never knew when. So I was working at my dad's law firm during the time that I was doing it, and he would let me leave. I would get a call. I was a doctor essentially.
You're on call.
Yeah, I was on call, and I would get a call, and it was really exciting. They need me down at the studio, and my dad would let me leave, and then I'd have to make up the time the next day. So I'd go down to the studio.
The TV star would have to come back and make up the time with working in his dad's law firm.
But luckily he let me do that, and so
let's talk about, if I may, because I love those little moments when, as we started this conversation, life changes. So you're in this audition with a bunch of people, the list keeps getting shortened, and you're finally selected.
Yeah.
Just walk me through that.
Yeah.
First, I'm actually got chosen.
I thought I made it.
Right.
I really did.
That was
like,
the moment of
this is
I'm
the
in
dream.
show business now.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, especially that because it just felt very like, it's the Ed Sullivan Theater.
Yes.
And the people who've performed on that stage, the Beatles, Elvis, so it was.
And then you.
And me, Michael Zegen.
23-year-old.
Yeah.
Law firm.
Yeah. Intern. Yeah. And also the fact that, there were people I went to school with who were going to be watching this.
Yeah,
and
chicks who said maybe not.
Right.
The doors are all going to kick open now, baby.
Yeah, I made it. I made it. I showed them, and
it was probably like a weekly check of a union minimum or something?
Well, to be honest, no, it was a lot of money. It was,
well, of course it was a lot of money.
It was
then.
like it was like $400 every time I did it.
By the way, to be a guest on the show was about $473.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So it was like $400, and I thought that I needed money. I needed money for food.
Yeah.
And rent, and so I didn't even know it was going to be a recurring thing. I thought it was just that one time.
Right, of course.
But then they liked it, and I have to give credit to Jill Letterman, who was the segment producer there, who's now, I believe she's Jimmy Kimmel's producer on the Jimmy Kimmel show. And she really pushed for me. And she was like, I think she would tell Letterman, like, hey, we should bring Dwight on, this week. She loved me. She tried helping me out. She tried hooking me up with various agents.
This is what it takes.
Yeah, she really believed in me, and I really owe her a debt of gratitude. But yeah, so, and actually later on, she actually, she would say, because if I said more lines than, what is it, under 5 or over 5, if I had over 5 lines, I would get paid double. So sometimes she'd be like, yeah, that word's a line. We'll just make that a line. And so she would let me, get me double the pay.
Sure.
So it was amazing. She was really just a wonderful human being.
Yeah, I've said before, you don't need a lot of fans. You need the right fans.
Yeah.
The ones who can actually change the course.
Mm-hmm, absolutely.
And just give you a little leg up.
Yeah, and I had some big fans. I mean, Letterman was a fan, although I never met him. I never, I did the show like 50 times. I never interacted with him. I never...
Away from the sketch.
Yes. Yeah. There was one time where we bumped into each other backstage, and he was like, hey, Dwight. And that was pretty much it. That was really it.
That sounds like Dave.
And then after the show, you'd have to be locked into the green room, and while he came through, because he didn't want anyone talking to him, which is fine. It's his show. He can do whatever he wants.
He was like that with the guests too.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. But yeah. So I did that show for like 2 years. I did it like.
Well, let's jump from that pressure-filled and impactful result of the first opportunity of I'm in show business.
Yes.
To your agent calls and says there's an audition or a meeting, I don't know, for a show called The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. Yes.
Well, that's not how it worked out. It was, I was helping a friend audition for Midge. I told you this story before?
Keep talking.
Okay. No, I mean, obviously, But so I was helping she called me
You're
up.
running lines with an actress friend.
I didn't know what it was. Right. And she comes over and we're reading these lines, and it was the breakup scene from the first episode where I tell her I've been having an affair. And I just thought, this is amazing. Like, this scene is incredible, and I could do this. I'm reading it with her, and I'm like, I could play this part.
Why am I not going up for this?
Well, so I talked to my agents, and they said, I think they were focusing on the girl they're focusing on Midge. They're trying to find Midge so they could build around her.
Sure.
And so I understood that. And then when the time came, they cast Rachel, and I got an audition for Joel, and
as did a lot of people, I'm guessing.
I would assume so. I don't know how many.
If you're going to go with a, let's just say, non-made entity, right? Someone who, sometimes these shows stunt cast.
Yeah,
right?
But I don't know who they asked. I don't know.
Right.
I know that when I went to the initial audition, just for the casting director, there were a lot of people in the room who I didn't know. It wasn't like celebrities. So. So I mean the audition was like 15 pages. It was like the breakup scene, the stand-up scene, the scene where she catches me, she sees Bob Newhart doing the same act as me, and then she confronts me in the kitchen. There was that scene too. And so it was like 15 pages, but I memorized it. I was like, I want this. And I think that if you want something, and you're an actor and you're going in for an audition and you want the part, memorize the shit out of it.
There's no such thing as over-prepared.
No, I don't think so. And I remember I had a teacher in college who was like, don't memorize it because it looks like you're showing up the the I don't even know what that means. Like what like you're showing off or whatever. Like no, it looks like you're dedicated. It looks like you can do this.
Yeah. There's nothing more impressive than someone who's not even using the crutch of holding the pages.
Yeah. Plus, it's more of just like a physical thing, because I tend to, like, if I'm nervous, I shake, and then you're holding these papers and they're shaking, and
it makes sound.
It's a crutch,
right?
So I just want to be free, and it makes
busted your ass.
Yeah. I learned the shit out of those lines.
Did you call upon that same actress who you were running lines with to run lines with you?
I actually did. I did. I called her. Like, we did it over the phone.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to the casting director.
They put you on tape.
She put me on tape. It was great. It was really great. She said she's going to bring me in for Amy and Dan. The following week, and I had a week to just let the lines just linger in my head and just kind of, sit there. And I was going over it every day.
Yeah.
And so I go in for Amy and Dan the following week. Also, I had a beard at that point, so I had to shave, which I was doing a movie, and luckily, like, the movie ended the day before the audition. So, like, I was able to...
That is good timing.
Yeah, great timing.
Yeah.
So I shaved,
and how are you greeted when you go in and meet Amy and Dan the first time?
Well, they have a story that they wanted to talk to me, and I was like, I don't want to talk. I just want to do this. Have you heard that story before?
No. When you went in?
Yeah, when I went in for them.
Sure. By the way, I've been on that side of the casting process, and I do like to have a conversation with the person, usually just to put them at ease. But occasionally someone will come in and say, can I just jump into this?
Yeah.
Then I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to get in the way of their process.
Right. But I didn't know that they wanted to find out, more information about me. If I had, I totally would have talked, because I do think that puts you at ease and makes you feel more comfortable. And but they said that they tried talking to me, and then they saw that I wasn't interested in talking, and they were like, "Do you just want to get to it?" And I was like, "Yeah," and which was a joke. I was just just kidding around, whatever. And they were like, "Okay, let's do it." And
now you're reading with a casting person?
Yeah, I'm reading with the casting director, who is a great woman. She's hired me for many things, Boardwalk Empire included, but she wasn't giving me anything. It was like she was very quiet and very quick, and I couldn't really hear what she was saying either.
Oh boy!
But she's great, and don't get me wrong. But
it wasn't a great experience.
Yeah, I didn't think it went so well.
Right.
And they didn't really laugh all that much. And
did they have notes and have you do it again?
Yeah, Amy had some notes. She had me try it a different way.
Did she say faster and funnier?
I don't really recall, but I mean, obviously that's what we've heard, since then. But yeah, so I did it again, and then she was like, "You're very good at taking direction." I said, "Yeah, I've heard that before," because I've heard it before. And then she was like, "Okay, well, it was nice meeting you. Thanks for coming in," which is the kiss of death.
It is.
And so I was so angry. I left there, and I was like, how did they not know that I'm this guy? Like, this is my part. And so I walked home from Midtown, and I live downtown. I was walking home, and I was listening to sad music. I was just so depressed. I was like, I blew it. I blew my big chance. This was it, But
you didn't have any sense that even though your scene partner wasn't giving you enough, and even though their response was a little cryptic, there was no sense memory of, well, I hit this beat and I hit that beat.
I thought I did okay. Right. I thought I did fine. I just didn't think I got the response that I had wanted to get.
Sure. There's nothing worse than a flat response.
Yeah.
And also a very cryptic thanks very much.
Yeah. And they also said, I've heard since then that I was nervous, that I looked nervous. So that's not good.
How could you not?
Yeah, of course. You want it.
Yeah.
You want this part. You're going to be nervous.
The last thing I directed, I almost had no auditions. There was only one part out of maybe 12 supporting and leads that I auditioned people for, and I wrote about it in my book, that the audition process is designed to fail, right? Because the difference in your energy and confidence from coming into audition versus being offered the part.
Yeah.
There's no way I even know what you're capable of.
Yeah. No, auditioning is an entirely different beast.
Yeah.
Than getting a part and acting the part. You need to have a lot of auditions in order to really understand how to audition.
That's where I learned.
Yeah.
Hundreds.
Yes, you do, because you need that confidence, and that confidence doesn't come very easily.
Right.
You need to be doing it for a while.
Did you ever have a phase where you would act confident? In an audition?
Yes.
I would sometimes go in. I remember like sitcom auditions, which is mostly what I got as a stand-up comedian. And I would go in and, not that I was trying to be cutting edge or inventive, but I would just start the greetings with, whose office is this? Because usually there was a few people there. And someone would raise their hand and I'd say, all right, we need to get you a bigger office. Is there somebody we can call? Is there someone there must be somebody we can get. You just tell me. And that sort of thing.
But your idea of being confident is like being funny, and mine was just acting like you don't care.
Right.
And
which is another thing, having been on the other side, that smells instantly.
Yeah.
Is this guy acting like he doesn't care? Because why is he here?
Yeah. So it's actually like a combination of both. You got to act like you don't care, but you also have to be, you have to want it.
You can't smell of desperation.
Yeah, no.
You can't smell of, I need this part.
Yes. So it just takes a long time to learn how to do that.
To learn how to also understand that it's simply it's a game of math.
Yeah.
It's a game of numbers. A very large percentage of the time you go into audition, you're just not going to get it.
Mm-hmm.
A very large percentage of the time, you're the opposite of what they have in mind. And the moment you walk through the door, they know you're not going to get it.
Right.
So there's very few opportunities where you walk in the room, you've won them over just by, that's the look we want.
Right, right.
And then you start to do the work, and that goes well. And then, as Amy said, when you get your notes, you make adjustments.
Sure.
These are all very important steps. And you're right. It takes hundreds to even learn that much.
Absolutely. I mean, it's really winning the lottery. When you get a part, it's winning the lottery.
Mm-hmm.
It is. I think your odds are just as good as winning the lottery. Especially for a commercial too, because what do they want? It's just they see the person. Yeah, they don't know, and they see the person. They're like, you're it, and then you get money. But yeah. So anyway, I go home and I'm upset.
Walked home. Sad music.
Yes.
I blew it.
Yes.
How do they not understand that I'm perfect for this?
Exactly. And I start writing an email to my agents. I'm saying it didn't go well. I know the vibe. I've been through this before. This was not a good vibe.
Are you thinking, is there any way you can get me back in?
No, I just thought it's over, it's done. And then literally, like 2 minutes later, I got an email from my agent saying they want me to come back in the next morning to read with Rachel. And so I was like, okay, game on. Game on. This is happening now. And I felt the confidence back. I was like, I got this. This is mine.
So there was a moment, was there a moment where you thought, I guess I was wrong about how it went?
Well, obviously I was wrong, but
right. But did it
But
register?
Then I was like, well, then why did she say thank you for coming in?
Yeah.
Nice meeting you.
Well, here's another lesson for those of you listening about the auditioning process. When someone hits it like that, but you're obligated to see a bunch of other people after them, you kind of have to keep it simple. Okay, thank you very much. Sometimes it's helpful to say, we'll be in touch. Give them a little uplifting on the way out.
Well,
but that's also dangerous.
I get it. You don't want to say that because then what if that's not true? What if they're not in touch and then they look like liars? You have a list of actors, right, who are going to come in, and you sort of put little checks next to their name. And you don't know how many at the end of any session you're going to actually like. By the 5th person, you may not have checked anyone. Right.
By the 15th person, you may have checked 7 people.
Yeah.
So it is. You do have to kind of nicely say thank you very much.
I mean, I told Amy that. I was like, don't say that. And she's like, well, what did you want me to say? She's like, I'm not going to tell you got the part. And I was like, yeah, okay. But she knew I got the part. But she said that when I left there, she was like, that's him.
Jesus.
Yeah. So
though then that's not fair.
Well,
you need to say a little bit more than thank you very much.
But I knew that going back in, I was going to get this.
Reading with Rachel.
I had known Rachel a little bit. We had done a reading. I met her when she was 19. She was still in college. We had done like a reading of a movie together. And I was blown away by her then. I was like, my God, this girl is amazing. And then we did a play reading. We had lunch together this time. And so I kind of knew her. I knew her a little bit. And so I show up the next morning.
Did you find out how many other guys were reading with her?
No, I didn't know. But when I got there were other guys in the room. Some of whom had flown in from LA.
Anyone you recognize?
No.
Okay.
But they flew people in from LA. Do we have time?
Yeah, no. I looked at my watch and for a second I thought it said we'd been here 2 hours. But no, just a little over an hour.
Okay. Well,
You're doing great.
Okay.
Doing great.
So I had so there were people there with suitcases who had just come from LA, straight to this audition. And I was like, Jesus Christ, they're flying people in from LA? Like, what chance do I have?
That's all right. It just makes you tougher.
Yeah. So this guy goes in and he comes out right away. Like pretty much minutes later, he comes out and he's packing up his stuff, his suitcase. He's flying back to LA. And I was like, oh God, it's going to be like this. It's just in and out. And all of a sudden Rachel comes out and she's like, Mike, you're next. Can we run lines together? And I was like, yes, we can.
Are there still other guys in the room?
Yeah. And so that was a little bizarre, but the guy's like packing up and she didn't run lines with him. And
she certainly didn't.
No. And basically what happened was they just didn't have their shit together. When the guy went in, Rachel didn't know that she was going to be like standing up in front of everybody doing it with him. She thought she was going to be like sitting down, like, like a typical audition and whatever.
Sure.
So she didn't know she was going to be like having to really act. And she wanted to just run it with me. She said it was a disaster. Like the first guy was a disaster. She felt really bad for him because they didn't know what they were doing.
It wasn't fair to him.
Yeah, it wasn't fair to him. But,
thank goodness.
Sucks to be him. But yeah, so we ran lines and I just knew. I was like, when we were running this scene, we were doing, we were running all the lines that we had together and I just knew. I was like, this is good. This feels right. And then we went in and did it and it was amazing. Like I just felt it. And I didn't get...
Did you get anything more out of Amy?
Well, that's what I'm saying. I didn't get thank you for coming in. She just goes, at the very end, she goes, okay. And that was it. And
okay,
I knew it.
Okay.
Yeah, I just knew
and
it.
She had that little impish smile on her face. Yeah. That we now both know very well.
Yeah, but I still had to wait 2 weeks to find out if I got it or not.
So what was the initial feedback?
I don't think I really got much feedback.
Nothing for 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's just like they really like me. They're still,
you're in the mix.
Yeah, you're in the mix, right? In the mix, short list, whatever it is. Right. And I was like, I was still angry. I was like, during those 2 weeks, I was going nuts.
Sure.
I was like, what are they thinking? How could they not see? Like that was the best audition I've ever had. That was top 5 auditions I've ever had.
Is this part of being a Pisces, by the way?
Probably. Yeah, I haven't looked into that, but that sounds about right.
This lack of patience.
Yeah. But lack of patience. Come on, this is a big deal. This is like
sure, but there are some people in your situation who had to go back and read more times.
Well, I know that they were bringing in more people. They were like, because I had a friend during those 2 weeks who was like, "Hey, I'm actually going in to read for Joel," and I was like, "What? Fuck? What do you mean you're going in to read? Like, you're not Joel. I'm Joel.
Yeah.
Like what? I was so pissed off.
So, what's the first call that things might have gone your way?
It was literally when they called to say I got the part.
Your agent.
Yeah.
Right.
I got a call and they said I got the part. And I was really sick too. I was like, I had a really bad cold and I was so miserable during those few days and it just like brightened my day. I was just so ecstatic.
Yeah.
Just to be a part of this. Plus, I think in the meantime, Tony Shalhoub had gotten cast. Mm-hmm. Or maybe he was the first to be cast. I knew he was doing it. So I was like, I get to work with him, which is just unbelievable because I've grown up watching him.
Sure.
So this was probably the one part I've wanted the most in my entire career.
That's good timing in terms of the one part I wanted the most and the one part you got that, again, changed the course of the rest of your life.
Yeah, well, I just knew it would.
Right.
I knew that this was going to be something special. I think we all did. And the pilot script was so amazing.
Yeah.
And that world, and I didn't know what it was going to look like. Mm-hmm. Because that's a whole other story.
Right.
The visual aspect of it is so astonishing and is as much a part of it as the characters are. So that's a whole other ball game. Like I didn't know that was going to be part of it. And then I found out Bill Groom was doing the production design. I had worked with him on Boardwalk Empire. Yeah. So I was like, oh, we are set.
Yeah.
Right. So then everything was just coming together and it's really a dream role. It really is. This is probably the best part I've ever played.
Yeah. No, it is.
Yeah.
So then the rehearsal process.
There was a little bit of a rehearsal process.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't really remember much. I mean, because you came on in after the pilot.
Oh, I came on after it had been picked up to
that's right.
two
Yeah.
seasons.
Yeah.
So, the pilot process.
You know what?
Sure.
I just remember Rachel and I got together and we would hang out and go over the lines and just talk because we're supposed to be married.
Yeah.
And I didn't really know her that well, so I figured. I remember I got her phone number from somebody, and so I texted her. I was like, "Hey, we should hang out and just talk and whatever, get to know each other." And so we did that. And we, that girl can talk, so we hung out for like hours and hours and hours. I remember we were outside. The Shake Shack. We were out. There was a Shake Shack near her apartment, and she lived near the Museum of Natural History. And so it was like late at night. It was like 1 a.m, and we were just eating Shake Shack outside the Museum of Natural History and talking for hours. And it was just like, it was awesome. It was awesome because I've been in situations where you're supposed to be best friends with somebody or married to them, or they're supposed to be your girlfriend, and you don't know the first thing about them, and so it just makes it more difficult. So this was great. I really got to know her, and we felt like a connection, and so that was the rehearsal process. I think we probably had a few rehearsals with Amy and Dan.
Was there a big table read like we know our table reads to be now?
Yeah, there must have been. Yeah, I don't know why I don't remember this stuff, but
probably in a bit of a fog. I mean, the whole thing.
Yeah, I mean,
really...
we've had so many table reads.
Yeah, well, since then, of course,
we must have had a table. I don't think it was as big as they are now. For those listening, our table reads are catered now, and
there's a carving station.
There's a carving.
When I try to describe to people that our table reads, most table reads look, there's a coffee stand and a bagel and a schmear. And
sometimes
you're lucky if you get that.
Yeah.
And ours look like weddings.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a little ridiculous.
I mean, and
beautiful and wonderful. And the entire crew, it seems, comes to the table reads. Mm-hmm. That's another thing that I've never seen happen before. Every department certainly is represented. It seems like the whole damn crew is there. There's like 100 people gathered.
And when I did Boardwalk Empire, we would have table reads towards the beginning of the series, and then as it progressed, they just didn't have time.
There's no time.
Yeah. But with Maisel, there's always, because they need to hear it out loud. They need to see what lands, what doesn't land.
Sure.
But yeah, so I don't think there was a table read as elaborate as the ones we're accustomed to now. But
when's the first time you see the pilot? See it?
I saw it with Rachel. Amy and Dan had us come to the editing room and watch it on a big screen. Mm-hmm. And
was it fully produced with music and everything?
I don't think it was totally done, but it was. I don't think it was color corrected or anything like that. But
music,
it looked good.
Temp score maybe.
Possibly, I don't really remember, but I
don't think they'd let you see without a temp score.
It definitely had music,
yeah.
But I don't know if it was the music that ended up in the
right.
But it was good. It was good. I was happy.
Right.
I was happy.
And the period between the pilot dropping, the way Amazon did things then, maybe still,
I don't think
they would put their pilots up. They would advertise them on their Amazon site where you purchase things. They wouldn't spend too much money advertising that their pilots are on display and who wants to see them.
No, yeah.
So it was interesting, that process. And it seemed like it was up and available for viewing for a while. But what is your memory of how long the pilot was being shown to the public before you hear of a series pickup?
Well, first of all, there was no doubt it was getting picked up.
I understand. But the official word is a different beast.
Yes, but Rachel, she kept getting this inside information, and so she was filling me in.
Right.
It was typically wrong. But,
really?
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
But during, I think it was probably like a month after it came out. Was it? I really don't remember. But then I got the call from her, and she was like, "They're picking it up for 2 seasons," and so that was like, whoa.
Yeah. Well, Amazon had certainly never done that, and a few of the other outlets had. But it was exceptionally rare.
Yeah.
To go to 2 seasons.
Yeah. So that was pretty incredible. But despite the fact that they had this thing where they put out pilots and you're supposed to know to watch it or whatever, Amy and Dan had done Gilmore Girls, so they had this following. It wasn't like it was just some random show. It was like their new show, and it had been getting great reviews. So the word was out, and
if you're in the performing arts,
yes,
it stood apart from the pack the moment you saw it. No matter what kind of day you were having or what your cup of tea necessarily is. There's a visual element as well as the writing and performing.
Yeah.
The production design, every department.
But
sort of sit back and go, what the fuck is this?
But I don't understand. I see people writing like, just get through the first episode and then it's amazing. And it's like, the first episode is amazing. Like, what are they talking about?
Do they mean at the first season or both seasons?
Yeah, in the first season. They're like, just.
Well, that's the one that was nominated for everything.
Yeah.
By the way.
Yeah.
That was the one.
So I
that
don't
was
understand when people
submitted.
say that.
Well, first of all, don't take it to heart.
No. I'm just saying, it's like, what are you talking about? But I guess it does just keep getting better and better.
Yeah. I mean, I heard people say that about season 2, actually.
Well, I think they're wrong.
Yeah, of course. Of course they're wrong. It's you and me talking. Well, here's the all-important question. Did you ever think, as a young man, the day would finally come when you would work with one of the brownies from Willow?
I always hope so.
Crossed your mind? Is it possible, you thought? And could it be the little one? They're both little.
No, it's a dream come true. It really is. It's really, I you know how much I love Willow. And grew up on Willow.
Inexplicably, I would say is how much you love.
Inexplicably, really?
No. People who
It's a great movie.
People who love that
Val
movie
Kilmer.
are like you.
Yeah.
They, it was interesting because at the time, it only made like $50 million at the box office, which.
But that was a lot of money back then.
It was a goodly amount.
Yeah.
It wasn't, at that point, Spielberg had already established the $100 million mark.
Right.
And if your movie was a big production like Willow was, and it didn't make 100, it was not a success.
Right.
So in that regard, it was a bit of a letdown.
Yeah.
To be honest, because it seemed like these were all state-of-the-art special effects.
Yeah.
That came out of George Lucas's ILM, where we got to hang out and all that stuff, which was astonishing. But, the hype machine behind a George Lucas production directed by Ron Howard with these morphing, images was such that you thought, here's an example of lower your expectations because if you don't, trouble's coming.
It's such a fun movie.
Yeah, no, it
really is. And it's one of those journey kind of movies. People on a journey or creatures on a journey.
Yeah.
And, I just love that movie. I loved it. And Warwick Davis, you can't, we got to mention him.
Please.
How fantastic was he?
Fantastic beyond belief.
And
there's talk again about a sequel.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, absolutely.
Have they contacted you about it?
No, I mean, they're just talking social media, and every now and then Ron Howard responds to it, and the most recent response was, it's not out of the question, and we've had conversations.
Well, I met Ron Howard. Did I tell you this? I met Ron Howard during the Emmys, one of the Emmys parties, and I told him how much I loved Willow. And,
right.
He told me that there was going to be a big screening soon. I guess I missed it.
I think there was a big anniversary that came out. Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, that and... Cocoon he directed too. I told him how much I love that.
Yeah.
I also asked, I know we're straying, but Wilford Brimley was like 50 years old when he did Cocoon, or 49, something like that. He's playing like an elderly man. And, and I totally bought it.
Yeah.
Because he's still alive.
Never get sick and you never die.
Yeah.
I have, let's see, a couple of others. Let's get to the question from Twitter. This was from @thereal_Daya. Asks, what's your favorite thing about playing Joel? And then a follow-up question, least favorite thing. So you get the part, you're on a show, it's a sudden hit, it's a worldwide hit, you're going on European press tours, you're being recognized in overseas while on these tours. It has this weird life to itself that changes your daily life, which can be fun and can be weird.
Yeah, I mean, it only changes it in that, I do get recognized now more, but that's not that big a deal. It's not. It hasn't gotten scary or anything like that.
They don't need a piece of your hair yet.
Not yet.
But it has been said by the creators of the show. We know we're doing well because your dating life picks up. So they've turned this into an ongoing. I don't want to say joke because I feel like it's real. Yeah. But so what's your favorite thing about playing Joel? Would that be it? You're just getting a lot more attention from the ladies?
No, I don't. That's not. Why are you putting words in my mouth? I didn't say that. They said that.
Yes, they did.
No, I like playing Joel because it's a great character with a lot of depth, and he's got many different layers to him that keep peeling off, and I keep fooling the audience.
Yeah.
At first they think he's one thing, and then he's not. And people who are like,
what a great season 2 also
Yeah.
for the character.
yeah, I mean, people think, oh, he's a jerk, he's an asshole, he's the villain, and then all of a sudden they're like, but I feel sort of bad for him.
Yeah,
I
that's
kind
right.
of like him now,
Yeah.
So I like that. I like that he's not this one-dimensional creep.
Yeah,
he's
I thought the arc of Zach Levi's character coming in was a chance for the audience to start rooting for Joel.
for Joel.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, sure, I get that, but Zach was also great. I mean, like
Zach was phenomenal.
Yeah, I thought,
that storyline
I
was great.
sort of Team Benjamin while I was watching it. I was like, oh, they've got good chemistry.
Yeah, they had great chemistry, and he's a very charming fella, but also as an actor, he was able to exude exactly what that character called for on the page.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
The sort of slight aloofness of this doctor guy who doesn't like people. The scene with the two of you smoking this cigarette is phenomenal.
Oh, cool. Yeah. No,
you did
it's
so great in that, man.
Um,
So the favorite thing about playing Joel?
just the character himself, just
Yeah.
the layers and the depth to him,
And the least favorite thing? Is there a least favorite thing? Not asking for complaints.
No,
let
I guess
Caroline do
I guess
that.
just people telling me how much they hate him.
Yeah, that's
people
not fun.
who are not affected by the layers,
Right.
Who are
The nuance? They don't get the nuance?
No, I was at a party on New Year's, and this guy comes up to me, and he was like, "I hate you, man. I hate you." And he's like, and I was just like, "Great, go away."
Thanks so much.
Yeah.
Wow.
Sometimes people can be kind of
Jerks.
yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you for asking that. All right. What was it like having a bodyguard in Milan who was armed and wearing a bulletproof vest at all times?
Is this from Twitter?
Nope, that's from me. I don't think Twitter knew that until now. We all went to Milan for the European premiere and press tour for season 2, and we got to Milan, and there seemed to be someone assigned to each of us with a gun in the small of his back and a bulletproof vest.
Yeah. It was interesting because
Was that the case the first time you went on the European tour for season 1? Do you remember having a bodyguard?
Well, we didn't go.
Oh, you didn't?
No, they only took Rachel, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was weird. I'm not gonna lie, that was weird. And I typically just brushed him off. I was, I would be leaving the hotel, and all of a sudden I'd turn around and he was following me, and I was like, "No, you can go. Like, you don't need to follow me. Like, I'm good."
Yeah. Is kidnapping a problem in Milan? What?
Well, Tony asked on, I think, like the second to last day, he was like, "What's the deal?" And the guy was like, "It's not safe." And we were shocked when we heard that, because it seemed pretty safe to me. I don't know. It's Milan,
I walked around most of one day,
Yeah.
and I was able to ditch my guy pretty easily.
I mean, it was nice having a driver who
Sure.
could take you, our own personal driver. That was nice.
Yeah.
But
Who looked heartbroken when I got into one of the other cars. Yeah, I'll never forget that.
but yeah, I typically was just like, you could stay. You're good. You're fine.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it was bizarre, but it was cool.
Sure.
It was definitely cool.
I was going to suggest one of your favorite things about playing Joel is being in Milan and being given shoes.
Oh,
That you
my
coveted.
shoe story. Yeah.
That you coveted.
Yeah.
And then they said, "We'll just take it."
Well, I mean, are we talking about being on a TV show or being Joel? I've been getting a lot of free stuff. That's one of the perks of being on a show that people watch.
Yeah.
They
They
give
want you to wear their
clothes.
stuff.
Yeah. So that's, I have now like 10 tuxedos. So I better, have a lot of weddings coming up, hopefully. But yeah, I mean, it's free clothes. Like that's one of the perks of making it.
Yeah.
You get a lot of free shit.
Not a bad deal.
No.
Okay, so one of the aspects of the segments on the show is called Ask Kevin. You're allowed to ask me any question. It can be a silly question or a sincere one or neither. But this segment is called Ask Kevin.
And I'm supposed to ask you?
Talking to you, not the listener.
Okay. What's your favorite role you've ever played?
Well, there's no question that Maisel is someone a character, anyways, who for my own personal needs and desires and designs, having been gainfully employed all these years and ended up in a couple of movies that have made the AFI Top 100 Films of All Time list, There's the usual suspects in A Few Good Men and Avalon and Casino and those things, and the Grumpy Old Men movies and the whole 9 yards. I'm very proud of. That was funny. The character I played in the whole 10 yards, which is a movie that doesn't work and damn near unwatchable, but the character I played in that was the first time comedically because I'm wearing prosthetics and I'm playing an 80-year-old Hungarian gangster. That was a sheer joy to play. But in terms of a challenging and rewarding, I'm going to say Moish Maisel actually rises to the top.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's
it
amazing.
really, really does. After all these years. It's kind of crazy. I mean, I've done a few films. I don't know the exact number, 81, but I will say that 6 of them are quite good. All right. Now it's time for Kevin's pop quiz.
That's it. That's the only
That's all
question.
you're getting?
Oh.
What, did you have a follow-up?
Yeah, I did, actually.
Okay.
At what point did you realize, or did you think to yourself that you had made it? I personally, I told you during Letterman, when I did the Letterman show, I remember thinking to myself, I'm there, I've made it, and obviously I hadn't, but like, was there ever a time when you felt like that?
Well, there's probably stages of it, right?
Yes, of course,
So the first stage is as a stand-up, right? Getting on a certain stage in San Francisco, my hometown, and being accepted by the community as a 21-year-old, that was a huge sensation of making it. The San Francisco International Stand-Up Comedy Competition was a ginormous thing. Robin Williams came in second historically one year, and Dana Carvey, my pal, had won. And so my graduating years, more or less, before I moved to LA, I came in second, and that was this through line of my stand-up career, again, at a very young age, by then barely mid-20s. And then, the Tonight Show, sitting next to Johnny Carson and making him laugh. That I don't know that there's any bigger sensation from the memory of a youth of putting designs on goals and what it would be to get to be in that situation. Right.
Yeah.
And then when I mentioned celebrating a birthday working, I remember I think it was my 33rd birthday, 32nd birthday on Avalon, and Barry Levinson saying, I heard it's your birthday today. It's kind of a big deal. You're on the set of this movie on your birthday. You're doing very, very good work on this film. And, I was just a comedian who'd been auditioning, and I hadn't really done any real dramatic work at that point. Let's not include Willow. And so he said, you're going to get some interest after this, and you may want to be careful what you do next.
Nice.
And in fact, I'll just suggest the thing you do next should not involve hijinks. I just remember that. So, that, and then the premiere of A Few Good Men, and then Cannes world premiere of Usual Suspect. There are these stages of holy fuck, where each time it seems to change everything that came before it,
Yeah.
But one of the questions I wanted to ask we didn't get to was when people you admire come up to you. It's one of the strange things about going to the award shows like we did a couple nights ago at the Golden Globes. When James Bond came up to me, actually, he was talking with Rachel, and I came up to them.
Yeah.
But when he turned my way and saw me, before I said a word, his eyes lit up. He put out his hand, and he said, "Kevin, hi." When James Bond says that, it's a surreal moment.
Yeah.
You don't assume for a nanosecond that he knows your name or anything. So admiration from your peers.
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest part. Was there someone along the way who, maybe the first or middle?
Well, sure. I nothing off the top of my head, but the other night, Julianne Moore came up to me and said, "I love you" on Mazel. I mean, that's nuts.
It is.
Someone
Julianne you've never Moore. Met?
No, she lives in my neighborhood. I've seen her walking around, but I've never approached her. And I've never worked with her. And
now you can.
Yeah. Well,
now you can approach her on the street.
Yeah. Well, now, yes, I will. Maybe.
It's the greatest entree. Imaginable. Mm-hmm. When someone feels a connection to you from your work.
Yeah. Or even, when I auditioned for this Drew Barrymore movie, she said, "I'm such a fan of yours." Like, what?
What are you talking about?
Yeah. So that's always surreal. And just even, you mentioned working with people who you admire, and I get to work with you, and I get to work with Tony Shalhoub, and on Boardwalk, I got to work with Steve Buscemi, who, I mean, when I was in high school, Reservoir Dogs was everything to me. And my friends and I were going to do a stage production of Reservoir Dogs in my friend's garage. And I was going to play Mr. Pink. Oh. And so I told him about that. And he got a kick out of that. And then we kind of became friendly. And it's just, I mean, it's always so surreal to work with people that you love and admire. And never in a million years did you think, although I guess, that's the goal, but it's just, it's so far-fetched. And it's, it's a lofty goal, but
I find it to be, when I look back, the best part.
Yes,
is admiration from people I admire.
Yes,
and have been a fan of.
Yeah, totally. Yeah,
I'll choose gainful employment over that, but in terms of personal rewards, now it's time for Kevin's pop quiz. Between 5 and 15 points possible for each of the 3 questions. Once the final score is tabulated, we post on our website along the current standing among the top 100. Are you ready?
Yes.
Question number 1. Keith David or David Keith?
Keith David.
Correct.
He's got a better voice.
We don't need qualifiers.
Okay.
Question number 2. Carl Weathers or the weather in Carlsbad?
Carl Weathers.
Correct. Last question. Steve?
Buscemi.
3 out of 3. Right away to the top 10. Sam, the engineer, through the window is so excited he's dancing. Congratulations. Nicely done.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much for spending an hour and a half with me today on the microphone.
Thank you.
I hope it was fairly painless.
No, it was a little painful.
Let's call it part 1. You'll come back, please.
I would love to.
Mike Zegen, ladies and Jews. The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, Season 2, available to you now on the Amazon Prime. Do you enjoy 2-day shipping? Get yourself all this wonderful programming for free once you have Amazon Prime. Thanks, buddy. I'll see you at the Critics' Choice Awards this weekend.
Yes. Can't wait.
And a possible dinner if we can pull our heads out of our asses.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you to Sam, the engineer to the stars.
Always my pleasure.
Kiefer, by the way, those of you who want to write in, it's Sam Kiefer, care of Earwolf, the address available online. And Corey Levin in post, and Hannah Crichton, the greatest booking person I've ever met, and I've met far too many. Who else can I thank? My mother, who no longer listens to the show. She gave up. I don't think she's heard one.
Really?
Yeah, this is episode like 382. All right. Joe, do we know how to pronounce Joe's last name? Mantanello?
Joe,
you know who I'm talking about?
Oh, from True Blood?
Sure.
Mangio.
Yeah, go with that. You know how to pronounce it?
Yeah.
He's going to be in here next, and I can't wait to have him teach
Joe
me.
Manganello.
Manganello? Thank you, Sam. I'll ask Corey to cut out that part, because why do I need to mispronounce a guy's name on a show that's going to be a guest? He might cancel. Again, assuming anyone listens. That's our show for today. Until next time, and as always, get out of my face.